what if I told you that the real reason why your ads are not working has nothing to do with your ads, but everything to do with your offer and how people are perceiving your products and how you're communicating your products to them. So many people obsess about ads, 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 but the problem is within the website. It has nothing to do with the ads and what you're running and what you're saying. It has everything to do with how your offer is being portrayed and people just thinking that is not good enough for them to instigate them to buy, right? So I want to show you a few examples of good offers that I have here. Most of them come from CPG brands, but also tell you a little bit how you can think about this, how you can think of engineering your offer, and how you should be thinking about the acquisition cost first and then the offer second, and how you can position that instead of the other way around. When I was at the agency, one of the things that I used to order between like 3 and 7 different e-commerce accounts every single day, and we used to the way I like to do audits is to do the entire business, from the Shopify to the back end logistics and the ad account. So that includes obviously knowing the cost of goods and how that works. And I've seen both sides of the spectrum of products that are way too expensive and can't be marketed because it doesn't make sense against the broad market, and products that are too cheap and they can't be marketed because they're too cheap and we don't have enough margin to do that. So the first step is looking at your unit economics and how that affects the business, right? You want to have realistically between 60 and 80% of margin for your product to work. However, even when you have that much margin, sometimes it can be really hard to achieve a profitable ad spend in the first instance because of your cost of acquisition and the average order value. And the greatest example of this is any kind of CPG brand, CPMG brand. So for example, I've got here Super Boba as an example, is a brand that I really like, just to show you how that offer works and why I think they're making these moves. So they're selling tea, which is naturally something that is quite cheap. Now they're selling for $22.75, right? On average, one product for the subscribe and save option. Now they've got 5 flavors, and they are putting all of them into all of their landing pages. This is because it changes the unit economics. The more people buy, the more you can liquidate the price of acquisition on the front end. So for example, let's assume that they are paying £30 for a cost of acquisition, and let's assume that their cost per product is $2.75, just to make math easy. If they have a £30 cost of acquisition here and a $2.75 COGS, then they're going to be minus £10. That's aside from shipping and everything, minus £10 on every single acquisition, right? But if they can convince people to get this most popular option, which is 3 bags, then all of a sudden they are making £55 on the acquisition of the customer the first time. The cost is £30. The COGS obviously is going to be 3x, so 2, 4, 6, 7 something, 750, or something like that. But the shipping stays the same. So if you control the shipping and the shipping stays the same, and you've got a high average order value, same conversion rate, so you find a balance between the two, and you're making more for the initial customer, even if they stay they take 3 months to buy again, etc. Then that's where you actually make the ads work. So you can run the same ads and everything's going to work much better. So the offer matters a lot more than the ads themselves, and that's most often what people are getting wrong. There are instances of the other way around, but for the most part, that's what I see as very common in like all the brands that I've audited. So we can look at other brands as well. For example, Space Goods, the way that they engineer their offer is slightly different. So they've got free gifts, and that works really well in the supplement space. Obviously, you might not be in a position to give free gifts as physical products, but what you can do, something that, for example, Hydra does really well, which is that they do a 1K free entry. So like as a digital product, it doesn't cost anything, but there's a monetary value attached to it that actually makes the offer that they want people to go to more enticing, right? And that's the same thing with some brands. You're going to have a problem where your cost of unit is too small to make ads work, and so you need to sell more units. So that's the case, for example, with Happy Tuesdays. Obviously, I don't like the price per pack is 567, so it'd be impossible for them to run that as ads, because it would mean that the cost of acquisition would be so high that they would lose so much money on the first instance. What they can do is sell 6 packs, 10 packs, and 30 packs. And one thing that I think they're doing here that's quite smart as well is using price anchoring with psychology. So you do a 30 pack, a 10 pack, and a 6 pack, but you price anchor the second option, the third option, sorry, this 149 here, to purely as an anchor to the price of the second option, because the difference is not that big, right? So my guess is that they're just trying to engineer here a better offer um, with more of a value stack, really, so that they can sell more of this most popular option here. I think that there's a lot that they can do to improve this, but for the most part, that's what you should be thinking about. And obviously, the OG that is really good at doing this is AG1, where they have the price of a single subscription compared to one-time purchase is ridiculous. It makes absolutely no sense for you to go for the one-time purchase, so you always opt for the subscription instead. So that's a really easy way for you to think about it. I just wanted to give one more example here of an offer that I find interesting that is outside of the CPG space. That's my space, so naturally I know more about those brands. But the instances where I saw that brands didn't have a problem with acquisition was where they had a higher AOV. So if you have a higher AOV product, and for me, a high AOV is anything above 150, even 100 really is quite a lot. But anything above 150 is really good. Typically, tech tends to have quite good AOVs. Well, large tech, not like small tech devices, but 150 quid is incredible. Like, it's an incredible AOV for you to have, and it also affords you being able to command different price points and different discounts as well. So, for example, Hume Health, I think they started at a different price point, but now they're anchoring the price at 275, which is saying that that's the price of the product, and they're selling for 175. And they have all of these other trust signals here. So for them, it's less about how the offer, you can buy more, save more, but more about like how can you position the offer in a way that makes sense for the customer. One thing that I'd like to have seen here, for example, is a description of what the discount actually is. So for example, I don't know what 179 out of 275 is. 179 divided by 275, can have a look. It's about 45% off. So I'd like to see that, but I imagine that they've run the tests. But they're also positioning the offer as 18 payments of X. And that's because with higher AOV price points, you obviously have the price objection to be a lot stronger. So you need a kind of like different approach to it. But you can see how much they actually stack in terms of value here, and to even improve their cost of acquisition a little bit more, so to make more money on the front end, they have a 10-year warranty upsell. So you get an upsell of people that like most likely are never gonna get this. This is the same as upsells related to shipping priority and things like that you can do, that they cost absolutely zero. But if anyone picks it up, then it's free money. So it makes perfect sense. So I find that really, really interesting. And that's just another way that you can position your offer if you don't have an option of doing buy more, save more. So yeah, so in summary, this is, if you have a brand that has a low average order value, and 99% of you are going to be in this bucket, then the problem is not the ads, it's how much you make on the front end offer to acquire the customer that allows you to then spend more on ads again before you make money again from them. I imagine that most of you are not thinking about LTV, which is something that we can definitely talk about later. And in the next video, I'm going to talk about how you can use Kaching bundles to actually be able to test these offers and see how they work. There's a link in the description for Kaching bundles anyway, if you want to start and give it a try. And there's also a link for the community if you want to join. We talk about everything related to e-commerce in there. For the most part, people join about the ads course. So you can click the link below and start your free trial as soon as you want. And I'll see you on the other side.